Part 47. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 462. At this moment, the starving ghost suddenly panicked. The Lord Commander is an invincible existence under the Ghost Lord. Even if the true God comes, he will kill them randomly. However, all his teeth were pulled out by the girl in purple skirt from San Shenzhou. The girl in purple skirt that I met now, couldn't it be the tooth-extracting monster that the commander met? He was panicking. The girl in the purple skirt seemed to be very excited at the moment and said, okay, I wonder how the quality of his teeth is compared to the old ghost's teeth last time. Hearing these words, the starving ghost suddenly became completely desperate. Damn, what a tooth-pulling monster! At this moment, the fear in his heart reached the extreme. As a powerful ghost of a generation, he didn't even have the courage to resist. He knelt down directly. Tooth-pulling monster, oh no. Goddess, please forgive me, goddess. I'm a good ghost. He looked at Zi-Ling with a pleading look on his face. But Zi-Ling shook her head at this moment and said, I don't believe it. You just said you wanted to eat us. The starving ghost hurriedly said. No, I don't believe my lies, goddess, I really have never eaten a good person, please. After saying that, he looked at Yun-11 again and said. Goddess, please, I see that you are a good person. Please help me persuade your sister. Don't pull out my ghost teeth. The starving ghost is good at observing words and expressions. He heard that the girl in white just called the tooth-pulling monster sister. Moreover, at first glance, this girl in white must be very kind. When Yun-11 heard this, he really had a kind face and said. Do you have any companions? Someone who is stronger than you, how about you call the other ghosts out and I will leave a tooth for you. She felt that this ghost seemed not as strong as the one she encountered before. The Demon King prefers the ghost fangs of that one. Hearing this, the starving ghosts were all shocked and looked at Yun-11 in disbelief. What kind of devil is this? Not only do you want to pull out your own teeth, but you also want to pull out the teeth of your other companions. Are you even looking for something stronger? Who else is stronger? Commander Guichi's teeth have been pulled out, and only the Ghost Lord is left. She actually wants to take advantage of the Ghost Lord? This girl in white is the real tooth-pulling monster, right? The starving ghost fell silent. He knew that he had recognized the wrong person. I'm so stupid, really. Sister Xiangling's quotations. He felt aggrieved and desperate. If you don't want to say it, then just hand over your teeth. At this time, Zi-Ling spoke up and said, also, you have to swear an oath to prove that you have never eaten a good person, otherwise you will die. When the starving ghost heard this, he was filled with grief and anger, but he could only reach out and pull out his teeth one by one. Trembling, he offered the ghost tooth and at the same time swore a ghost oath. I'll give you 4, I've never beaten a good person, wow, a good person can't beat a good person at all. He even cried. Zi-Ling took the ghost tooth, but found that it was rougher than the old ghost's last time. I'm too embarrassed to give it away. Sister Xiling, let's go, I think there might be a ghost ahead. Yongzi spoke. Zi-Ling nodded, blinked her big eyes, but suddenly whispered to the starving ghost. Keep waiting here. If there are evil people behind you, you'll eat them, do you understand? Zi-Ling is also smart. She can see that Sister Yongzi cherishes her relationship with Yunkin, therefore, Sister Yongzi can't do anything. When the starving ghost heard this, he nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. And at this moment, rear. The Yun family and the Zhan family finally defeated the 5th Vine Man with great difficulty. This time, an old Vine Man also appeared. It was extremely powerful. Zhan Konglei could not defeat it alone. He gave an artifact to Yun Yingxing. The two of them held two artifacts and it took nearly 100 rounds to defeat the old vine man. But despite this, Zhang Konglei and Yun Yingxing both vomited blood and suffered serious injuries. At this moment, they were devouring the elixir to replenish their spiritual power. It's too difficult, Shaoling, if there is more later, I really can't hold on. Zhang Konglei spoke with difficulty. He glanced at Yunkin next to him and said in a low voice. Shaoling, I feel like this woman is too cynical, too cynical. Zhang Shaoling's scalp was numb at the moment. What kind of disaster is this, Yunkin? It's terrible, it's terrible. The Zhang family has already paid 3 artifacts for this. The trump cards brought this time are almost exhausted. Originally, under normal circumstances they could break through and escape, but because of Yun Qin's presence, they had to fight those vine people to the death every time. Could this Yunkin be the undercover agent arranged by the Yun family? Specifically using bad luck to control yourself? Shaoling, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Yunkin Liwa was crying with rain. Her body was now covered with bruises and had been ravaged by those vines. Zhang Shaoling took a deep breath, maintained his appearance, and said, it's okay. If he could do it over again, he would even want to kill Yunkin. But now that we have reached this point, the price paid is too high and we can only go all the way. I hope the use value of Yunkin is worthwhile. They move on. After several waves of vine battles, there were only a few hundred people left out of the thousands who followed. Everyone is terrified. Have you noticed that the blood of the dead has been absorbed by the earth? Someone spoke worriedly and said, people from the Muling dynasty said before that death will fuel some kind of power in this area. Don't worry, it's just nonsense. Even if there is any danger, with the Yun family and the Zhan family at the front, what should we be afraid of? We just need to snatch some marginal treasures. Others spoke. No one wanted to move forward. They were surprised to find that the frightening vines had disappeared. The front is very empty. Very good. We finally passed. Everyone shouted with joy. What's that ahead? A great opportunity. At this time, someone pointed at the giant vine in the distance. Everyone was extremely dignified. Exudes a supreme aura. If I could get a vine for such a divine thing, I'm afraid it would be unparalleled. Everyone's eyes were burning. They hurriedly prepared to move forward. But, at this moment, a dark wind blew. Dense ghost whispers sounded. In an instant, all the darkness in the hearts of many cultivators in the field was released. They are somewhat insane and trapped in hallucinations. I want to kill someone, I want to kill my senior brother. Master's wife, come quickly, Master's wife, I can do it even if Master can't do it, I'm so strong. All glory belongs to me, I am the genius, you all will die. For a time, under the confusion of ghost whispers, countless people were swallowed up by the dark desires in their hearts. At this moment, in the dark wind, the starving ghost's eyes shone brightly. He closed the evil wind and then opened his mouth to swallow. Suddenly, countless cultivators screamed in agony. No. Help. Those chosen by the hungry ghosts were all devoured by the hungry ghosts. There are so many people, we can have a good meal. The starving ghost was extremely satisfied and prepared to continue eating. However, among the crowd at this moment, Yunkin had also fallen into some kind of madness. Haha, Yungzi, you are finally dead. Never come back to life again. Die well, Shaoling, yes, come on, you are awesome. And that starving ghost has already stretched out its claws to grab Yunkin. Next to him, Zhan Shaoling was trembling, and he hurriedly spoke. Shut up. Buddha bless. He hurriedly hung a jade statue of Bodhisattva around Yunkin's neck. The Zhan family had previously analyzed that the person behind the Muling dynasty must be an old ghost. So this time when I came to the eastern wasteland, I prepared a lot of magic weapons to deal with ghosts. Among them are treasures that have been illuminated by the Buddha's light, and this jade statue of Bodhisattva is one of them. Moreover, this jade statue of Bodhisattva has a great origin. It was given by the important person behind their Xuan family. It was the existence of that big shot that gave them the courage to confront the old ghost in the wilderness. Otherwise, Xuanhuan and Liu Yangyushan would have been defeated, and their Xuan family was only a family of gods, and they would never dare to be so bold. In an instant, Yun Qin seemed to wake up from a big dream and said blankly, "What's wrong?" Zhan Shaoling said, "You were lost in the ghost language." After saying that, he raised his head to look at the starving ghost in front of him, used a certain magic weapon to block the perception of other people, and then said, "Master Ghost, please stop. I can give you something better." The starving ghost felt a trace of suspicion when he felt the consecrated jade statue. The Great Ruins realm is not one of the 3,000 Brahma realms. How could such a thing appear? The 3,000 Brahma realm is a realm belonging to Buddhism, and the Brahma section is one of the few forces that can restrain ghosts. He stopped immediately and stared at Zhan Shaoling coldly. Zhan Shaoling stepped forward to face his scalp and took out a jade box. In that jade box, there was actually a stillborn fetus the size of a palm. This is an infant ghost. If you swallow it, your power will increase greatly. He spoke solemnly. A hint of surprise suddenly flashed in the hungry ghost's eyes. The infant ghost is a very ferocious ghost. To him, it is indeed a big meal, more filling than devouring ordinary cultivators. This Great Ruins realm is just a star realm. How could a baby ghost be born? How could the baby ghost appear in this kid's hands? Why? The hungry ghost said coldly. When people do business with ghosts, they must have something to gain. I want to work with you. Zhan Shaoling spoke solemnly and said. But before that, I would like to ask, what is the relationship between the Muling dynasty and your excellency? He is cautious. After all, the Zhan family guessed that there was an old ghost behind the Muling dynasty. Who knew if it was the one in front of him? The starving ghost said. Muling dynasty? It doesn't matter. Hearing this, Zhan Shaoling felt relieved and continued. How about taking action on this infant ghost instead of the adult behind you? The starving ghost's heart sank and he said, do you know if there are other adults behind my back? Zhan Shaoling was startled for a moment, and then he realized that this ghost was talking a little too loudly. The ghost mark on your forehead. He spoke. There is indeed a faint ghost line on the forehead of the starving ghost. That was left by the Ghost Lord, marking that his life belongs to the Ghost Lord. The starving ghost was even more surprised. The human race in front of him actually knew the ghost race so well. Moreover, he can also take out the infant ghost and possess the sacred magical weapon of the Brahma religion. The starving ghost suddenly realized that the water in the Great Ruins realm was very deep. The black hand of the Brahma sect has also reached here? Thinking of this, he felt that it was necessary to investigate through Zhan Shaoling. If he did not figure out the conspiracy of the Brahma sect, it would be a great disadvantage to the Ghost Master. He immediately rolled his eyes and said, okay, I promise you. Hearing this, Zhan Shaoling's eyes were filled with joy, but he still said, can you make a ghost oath? As long as you make a ghost oath, this baby ghost will belong to you. He knows a lot about ghosts and knows that dealing with ghosts is tantamount to seeking skin from a tiger. Who knows if this ghost has lied to him? But ghost oaths can restrain ghosts. Hearing this, the starving ghost sent a message. Okay, I swear, if I lie to you, all my ghost teeth will fall off. Zhan Shaoling was immediately overjoyed. He knew that ghost teeth were very important to ghosts, and the secret power that could restrain ghosts had just circulated. It was a true ghost oath. This belongs to your excellency. He immediately handed over the baby ghost, with a smile on his face. The reason why he did this is because the power around him is not enough now. Zhang Konglei has been seriously injured, and the Yun family may have some conspiracy with the beings in the wilderness. They have to win over the ghosts. Use it for yourself. Now it works. The starving ghost took the box containing the baby ghost and put it away. By the way, have you ever seen 3 women passing here? Zhan Shaoling suddenly asked. Along the way, he was paying attention. But the bodies of the 3 Yungzi people were never found. He suspected that the 3 people had gone deeper before them. But the hungry ghost suddenly became a little nervous. 3 girls, those are simply 3 demons. Have. There was only one word, and he was too starved to say anything else. Otherwise, it would be terrible to be retaliated against. Hearing this, Zhan Shaoling was immediately shocked. Sure enough, Yungzi is not dead. Okay, thank you very much, sir. It's a pleasure to work with you. Zhan Shaoling spoke. The starving ghost waved his hand, and in an instant, the evil wind dissipated and left. Everyone was in a trance for a while, and finally woke up from the illusion. What happened just now? Where is the master's wife? I want to be the master's wife. A young cultivator looked melancholy. After the illusion passed, he felt that life was boring. I didn't kill anyone, is it all an illusion? There's a ghost. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone, a ghost appeared just now, and I have already forced it back. Please follow me in. At this time, Zhan Shaoling spoke loudly. After everyone heard this, they were extremely grateful to Zhan Shaoling and continued to move forward with Zhan Shaoling. Qiner. As they walked, Zhan Shaoling gently pulled Yunqin aside, away from Yun Yingxing, and then said via voice, I know why you are so unlucky. Yun Qin looked at him with questions in his eyes. Yungzi entered this place before us, why are those vines attacking you like crazy? You are the only one among us who has a close relationship with Yungzi. Zhan Shaoling spoke calmly. Yun Qin was startled. At this moment, she seemed to understand something. She planned to kill me. At this moment, she couldn't help but see unparalleled hatred in her eyes. This is the only reasonable explanation. Yungzi passed by this place first, and then he was targeted by the Vine Man. Thinking of how much she had suffered, she gritted her teeth and said, I really want her to die. At this moment, Zhan Shaoling's eyes were cold, but he pretended to be warm and said, I love you the most and I support you in everything you do. However, the Yun family is not easy to deal with. You should do this. Yunqin nodded. And at this moment, Yungzi, Xiling, and Mu Wanqing have already arrived in front of the huge tree vine. When I got here, I found it difficult to get close. Because, on the giant vine, there are tens of millions of vines hanging down, forming an invisible barrier, which is supremely divine. 2 chapters will be combined into one. There may be one more chapter, but it will definitely be very late. I don't know when it will be finished, so there is no need to wait. I've been feeling quite depressed lately, and I can't find the motivation or interest to do anything, ugh. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 463. The giant vines cover the sky and the sun. This can no longer be described as a vine, just like a towering giant tree. Thousands of vines hang down, each like a hanging dragon corpse, exuding a frightening aura. However, that kind of breath is dead and withered. This giant vine seemed to be towering, but it was lifeless. The trunk and bark are like gray-brown stones. It even makes people feel that this giant vine has become a fossil in the years and is no longer a real living thing. Vaguely, there is even an indescribable and strange aura lingering in it. Ancestral vine, this is the ancestral vine that the sacrifice spirit mentioned. Mu Wanqing spoke excitedly. The grapevine of the Muling dynasty was taken out from the depths of the wilderness, and it has a certain blood relationship with the giant vine in front of you. Rare plants. The crystal piece in Xiling's hand glowed with unparalleled intensity. This means that the giant vine in front of them is a rare plant. This is too big. How do you dig it out and bring it back? Yun 11 said, if you take this vine back, the small mountain village might not be able to plant it. Huh? No, Sister Xiling, look at it. At this time, Mu Wanqing suddenly pointed at the old vine. Looking along her fingers, she saw that there was a bunch of grapes among the branches and leaves of this giant vine that was lifeless and seemed to have turned into fossils. At first glance, the bunch of grapes looked like they were all petrified, just like a bunch of stone beads. But among those stone beads, there is a large dark purple grape, which is crystal clear and exudes some unparalleled fruity aroma. How is that possible? The whole tree has been petrified, but there is still a big grape. Several people were surprised. Why do I feel like this grape is the source of the crystal flakes glow? At this time, Xiling suddenly spoke. When she pointed the crystal piece at the big grape, the light of the crystal piece was really stronger. I understand, this giant vine is indeed dead, and that big grape is the hope. Xiling was surprised. Come on, let's pick them and take them back. The devil must like to eat grapes. Yun 11's big eyes lit up and he stepped forward, ready to take action. Stop. At this time, a loud shout suddenly came from behind. The three of them turned around and saw that the large troops of the Yun family and the Zhan family had arrived. Stop, this tree belongs to everyone. No one can have it all. Many people spoke in a hurry. This tree is the ultimate thing in this secret realm, and it represents something unimaginable. So, there's a grape there. At the same time, someone in the crowd also saw the grape on the giant vine. Oh my God, what kind of magical fruit is that? This old tree is almost fossilized, but a grape is actually immortal. This giant vine must be a divine vine, and that grape must contain unimaginable sacred substances. If you can eat it, you will probably become a god right there. At this moment, everyone's eyes were extremely intense. Such a towering fossil giant vine, such an immortal and magical fruit, makes people imagine endlessly. When Zhan Shaoling saw the divine fruit, his eyes were extremely greedy. However, he took a deep breath, remained calm, and said, Yungzi, this barrier is difficult to break. We should all work together to achieve it. Yun 11 said coldly, not interested. Hearing this, Zhan Shaoling's face darkened. Does the Yun family really want to monopolize it? But at this time, Yun Qin stepped forward. She tried her best to suppress the hatred in her heart, but showed a smile and said, Sister Yungzi, did you know? Grandpa has also come to Donghuang, and he is waiting outside the God Burial Wilderness. Now that there is such a great opportunity, he should come. Yun 11 was startled for a moment. Grandpa is here too? At this time, Yunkin had already taken out a communication crystal. She was summoned immediately. Zhan Shaoling also directly summoned the message. The Zhan family, Xuanhuan, and others were also waiting outside with their people. At this moment, the opportunity has appeared, and at the last moment, there is no way to stay behind. The other sects are also like this. Suddenly, outside the God Burial Wasteland, many older people are looking at this vast land and waiting. Brother Yun, don't worry, all the great opportunities here must belong to you and me. Zhan Wanren walked over with a smile. Yun Qianshan nodded calmly and said, that's right. But he was a little distracted. Because he doesn't care about the opportunities and so on here. He was thinking about his granddaughter. Will she be in this area? But, right now, the communication crystal on his body suddenly lit up. He quickly picked it up and looked at it again, and suddenly his face was shocked. The divine vine fruit has appeared, and my 11er is here too. At this moment, Yun Qianshan was so excited that he rushed into the wilderness without hesitation. Next to them, Xuanhuan and other powerful men also received the message, and they were all excited and hurriedly followed. Before the giant vine. Is Grandpa really here? Yun 11 said, after 3 years of separation, she also missed her grandpa very much. Yes, everyone in the family misses you so much. When they found out that you were still alive, Grandpa came to the eastern wasteland regardless of everything. If I hadn't stopped him, he might have gone directly to the god burial wilderness. Yun Qin spoke, but there was a chill in his eyes. Where is my stream? At this moment, above the sky, a trembling old voice suddenly came. Everyone suddenly looked up, and an old man had appeared. His speed was too fast, because he directly used the divine magic weapon. Just for traveling. Yun family Yun Qianshan. Such a powerful man actually appeared. If I remember correctly, Yun Qianshan is already in the sub-god realm. Everyone was shocked. When Yungzi saw the old man, his long eyelashes were trembling, she was extremely happy and excited, and said, "Grandpa, I'm here." Yun Qianshan landed and took a closer look. When he saw the girl in white, at that moment, his old eyes became moist. "Yungzi, is it really you? My good granddaughter." He strode forward, excited beyond measure. Yun 11 ran to his side and said, it's me, Grandpa, I'm back." She held her grandfather's old hand and said, "Grandpa, I miss you so much." Yun Qianshan's hands were trembling. He stroked Yun 11's hair lovingly and suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed. "Ha ha, ha 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 ha. My good granddaughter Yun Qianshan is back. She is not dead. The sky has eyes, the sky has eyes." At this moment, he felt that the sadness and haze of the past 3 years had been swept away. "Girl 11, don't worry. From now on, Grandpa will never let anyone force you to get married, no matter who it is." He spoke loudly, not caring about the Zhan family next to him. Because he never wanted to bear the pain of losing his granddaughter again. Yun 11 also smiled and said, "Grandpa, don't worry, you don't have to worry about 11er. Grandfather and grandson were reunited, and both of them were extremely happy at this moment. Next to them, Ziling and Mu Wanqing were also sincerely happy for Yun 11. Xuanhuan and others from the Zhan family had also arrived. When he saw Yun 11, he was shocked and looked towards Zhan Shaoling. Zhan Shaoling's message told him everything. Xuanhuan's eyes suddenly became gloomy, but he stepped forward and said, "Brother Yun, it's really a great joy for me to see my grandson again. Congratulate. However, now that we have a great opportunity, we should work together to get it first." Yun Qianshan was in a great mood at the moment. He raised his eyes, looked at the petrified old tree, and said with a smile, "Very good, this magical fruit is perfect for my 11 girl. Girl 11, just wait, Grandpa will get it for you." He was so heroic that he took a step forward without waiting for Yun 11's reply. He displayed all his demigod level power and punched the barrier with a bang. Bang. In an instant, there was a huge explosion of spiritual power. Seeing this, Zhang Konglei and others were shocked. Yun Qianshan's strength was terrifying, almost comparable to those of the old vines in the secret realm. However, that barrier is also extremely terrifying, and Yun Qianshan's sub-god level attacks are completely ineffective. What's even more terrifying is that Yun Qianshan's attack bombarded the barrier, and the barrier seemed to ripple. Then, a terrifying energy instantly enveloped the entire place. He almost killed Yun Qianshan. "Grandfather." Yungzi was anxious. At this moment, she no longer waited. In her sleeve, a butterfly fluttered its wings gently. In an instant, The inexplicable power seemed to split the sky, approaching the barrier, and the energy originating from the barrier was immediately exhausted. Moreover, this power even tore the barrier apart. The barrier was broken. Everyone was shocked. Zhan Shaoling looked at Yun 11 in shock. What treasure did Yun 11 have on his body? At this moment, an ominous premonition flashed through his heart. What is that? Corpses all over the ground. Someone exclaimed. After the barrier was broken, everyone could see the situation around the giant vine more clearly. The ground within the barrier was covered for hundreds of miles by the roots of giant vines. Those old roots were like petrified horned dragons, appearing and disappearing on the ground. And around the roots of the giant vine, there are piles of white bones, which are countless creatures lying dead on the giant vine. Those corpses are so old that I don't know what era they date back to, but they all have a supreme aura, as if they once belonged to the most powerful. At this moment, Ziling looked at the scene and was suddenly startled, as if some kind of historical torrent was rushing in front of her eyes. It was chaotic time and space, it was the exploding void, the sky collapsed, the war burned out at the end of the universe, the whole world was in a mess, and all creatures were bleeding. It was a giant green vine standing between heaven and earth, refining the sun, moon, and stars of heaven and earth as nutrients. It was fighting and struggling, but was drowned by the thick gray mist. The original divine grape was her medicine, but now, contaminated with strangeness, the divine grape will be destroyed. No. This is her hope for survival. She uses blood as ink to stop the last enemy, medicine. We need to deliver medicine to her. A luminous creature, extremely powerful, but at this moment it is crying in sorrow. My ancestral blood, poured into the divine grape, burn my ancestral blood, burn my life essence. A powerful man filled with divine aura burned all his blood and even his life to save that giant vine. Ahem, I was in the sky and saw the sword shatter into pieces, the Suzaku dying with a cry of grief, the everlasting tree already cold. Are everyone else dead too? No. Only her is left. She can't die anymore. This medicine is hope, hope. There was an ancient giant who coughed up blood and tore his chest. The ancestors' blood flowed on the roots of the giant vine. The giant was dying, but he was laughing sadly. World-honored one, must come back, come back. Follow the world-honored one in this life and fight until the sky collapses. Haha, that's enough, that's enough. Our sacrifice will be worth it after all. The fire will continue and will continue, waiting in the dead silence. This world will eventually be what we want. Looking up to the sky and screaming in sorrow, the giant died, the blood of the unparalleled strong man burned out, and the luminous creatures withered. Their corpses were lying on the roots of giant vines. The gray fog in the sky has disappeared, leaving only a petrified giant vine in the vast sky. When life is extinct, a grape has never been eroded. At this moment, Ziling's eyes were filled with mist, and she was inexplicably sad. Why do I want to cry? It shouldn't be like this, it shouldn't be like this. Tears glistened down on her beautiful face. She didn't know who she was crying for, she didn't know why she was sad. She was like a bystander, seeing a fragment of the long river of time, but standing in the downstream of time and space, helpless. But at this moment, there were countless people in the field, but none of them felt anything. There was only greed on their faces. The barrier is broken, let's go and grab the divine fruit. That belongs to us. Fight. The Zhan family and many other sects seemed to be going crazy at this moment, rushing towards the petrified giant vine. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 464. Treasures touch people's hearts. At this moment, the barrier has been opened and everyone is going crazy. That magical grape is regarded as a treasure by everyone, and it must contain something extraordinary. At this moment, a chill flashed across Zhang Shaoling's eyes, and he whispered, "Do it." A magical talisman appeared in Zhang Konglei's hand, and he injected spiritual power into it, suddenly glowing with divine light. The divine light fell directly towards the many people rushing towards the giant grapevine. No! Ah! Help! There were bursts of wailing, and Zhang Konglei was actually killing everyone. What Zhang Konglei was holding was a magical weapon from the gods. Everyone was completely unable to resist. In an instant, countless people died. Their bodies fell to the ground and turned into mummies in an instant. The blood went nowhere. Zhang Shaoling looked at the scene with an extremely cold face. He had arrived at the land of opportunity, and these cannon fodder were of no use. Yun Qianshan was shocked and angry, saying, "What are you doing?" The Zhan family committed such crimes, which was inconsistent with the status of a family of gods, and he wanted to stop it. However, as soon as he finished speaking, a powerful sword light struck him from behind. Xuanhuan took action, holding a magic sword and slashing at him with Ling Ran's murderous intent and strong aura. The sword was caught off guard, and Yun Qinshan's expression changed drastically. He also had a divine magical weapon on his body, and he hurriedly activated it at this moment. However, the opponent's attack had been planned for a long time, and it happened suddenly. Yun Qianshan was still bombarded and retreated dozens of steps, with a trace of blood flowing out of the corner of his mouth. "Grandpa, take the medicine quickly." Yun Qin had already arrived at Yun Qinshan's side and handed out a pill. Yun Qianshan was about to reach out and refuse, but in an instant, a dagger suddenly shot out from Yun Qin's sleeve. The dagger shone with a deep blue light, and the divine aura was clear. Yun Qinshan's pupils shrank. However, Yun Qin was too close to him, and he had no intention of taking precautions. At this moment, the dagger went straight through his chest. Yun Qin struck Yun Qinshan's chest with a fierce palm, causing Yun Qianshan to fly backwards. Everything happened in a flash of lightning. "Grandfather!" Yun 11 exclaimed and was at Grandpa's side in an instant. But he saw that Yun Qinshan's lips were purple, his breath was confused, and his hands were spasming. "Zhan Bai's poisonous dagger, you!" Yun Qianshan raised his hand and pointed at Yun Qin, his old eyes filled with disbelief. Yun Qin, sneak attacked him. "Why?" Yun Qianshan spoke sadly. Yun Qin grew up with Yun 11 since childhood. Although she is just an adopted daughter, the Yun family treats her as if she were their own child. But now she is. "Why?" Yun Qin showed a vicious and ferocious smile. "You should ask her." She stared at Yun 11, full of hatred, and said, "Why do you have to come back to life after death? Why do you always want to take away the things I love? Why should I live in your shadow all my life? I'm going to kill you, destroy everything related to you, and kill everyone you care about. I'm going to make you suffer, die, and live." Her last 4 words were almost yelled out. All the darkness and ferocity in her heart surged out with these 4 words at this moment. Yun 11's eyes suddenly turned cold as she listened to Yun Qin's words. At this moment, a certain emotion in her heart was completely destroyed. Even though she knew that Yun Qin gave the evil jade that brought bad luck, she still felt a little unbearable in her heart. After all, they had been in love for many years. But now. Ha ha ha, okay. At this time, Zhan Shaoling suddenly clapped his hands and laughed. He glanced at the field. At this moment, all the people who had followed from the other major forces had been slaughtered. On the other side, almost everyone in the Yun family was finished. Yun Yingxing was also attacked by someone arranged by the Zhan family and was seriously injured at the moment. The Zhan family has already taken the absolute advantage in the field. Qinur, you did a great job. Zhang Shaoling smiled, walked forward, looked at Yun 11 and others, and said coldly. No matter what conspiracy you have with the beings in the wilderness, it is now under my control. You're done. Only Yungzi and the other three were left. The eccentric demeanor completely disappeared from his face, and he became sinister and proud. Don't worry, you three stunning beauties, if you don't have enough fun, I won't kill you easily. He sneered, waved his hand, and said. Second uncle, go pick those grapes. Everything should be over. After picking grapes, killing Yun Qianshan, and capturing Yun 11 and others, everything here will not be known to the outside world. He will also marry the Yun family. Without Yun Qianshan, the Yun family will be easier to control. Everything is under your control. Zhang Konglei sneered and strode towards the giant vine. However, suddenly, the roots of the giant petrified vine began to tremble, and the entire earth trembled with it. Then, a kind of grey mist overflowed from the dense and thick root system. Under the pull of the grey mist, the thick old tree roots gathered and entangled, and finally formed a humanoid creature. The old root twisted and turned into a humanoid creature. The grey fog is the eyes, indifferent as death. This is a strange creature. What the hell? Zhang Konglei was taken aback, but immediately shouted, held the sacred umbrella in his hand, and rushed towards the humanoid creature to kill him. However, when the humanoid god raised his hand, a wisp of grey mist overflowed and infected the god's umbrella. All the sacred energy of the divine treasure umbrella was eliminated and turned grey. Even the umbrella handle made of divine gold rotted instantly. No. Zhang Konglei was shocked and hurriedly threw away the divine umbrella, but the grey mist had already filled his hands. Infects the whole body. Ah! Zhang Konglei let out a shrill scream. Then, his body twisted, his life source was instantly dissolved, and groupers appeared on his skin. He suddenly turned around and saw all the living people outside. At this moment, Zhang Konglei's eyes were so strange and lifeless, filled with grey mist. He was no longer a living person. How is this going? Xuanhuan was shocked. What the hell can actually infect the divine treasure umbrella? What happened to Zhang Konglei? Is he still human? Everyone was shocked. But at this moment, behind Zhang Konglei, the strange creature formed by the roots of the old vine suddenly turned back indifferently and glanced at the dark purple grapes on the giant vine. Ah! There was a ghost howl instantly, and many invisible ghosts became visible at this moment. Geiki's hands have already reached out to the grapes. One of these ghosts was hiding nearby and waiting. The barrier was broken. When no one noticed, they were already approaching, ready to take away the fruit. These ghosts are indeed very smart and good at hiding. However, at this moment, the creatures formed by the strange tree roots glanced at them. Geiki and other ghosts were all dancing wildly, almost losing their minds and running away in a hurry. Everyone outside was even more shocked when they saw this scene. What the hell are these tree roots made of? Even ghosts are afraid of them. Someone spoke with a chill. This is the source of terror in the wilderness, the ominous nature itself. At this time, Mu Wanqing trembled and said. Death awakens it will only bring about the withering of life, even the gods can't stop it. Hearing this, everyone's expressions were shocked. The source of terror, ominousness itself? Even if the gods come, they can't stop them. Everyone is scared. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 465. The sudden appearance of strange creatures frightened everyone. What on earth is this? The source of terror, the weirdness itself. Why is this vast wasteland called the God Burial Wasteland? Because when the gods come, they can only be buried. And this strange creature in front of you is the source of terror, The death of the gods is probably inseparable from it. Who can resist? It's actually such a weird thing, the messenger of death that only exists in the ancient history of creation. The disasters and misfortunes of the creation era cannot be avoided. Even the ghost master hiding in the dark has revealed himself at this moment. He is a hero of a generation who once brought trouble to the stars, but now that he sees this thing, his whole body is trembling. How could it be that a terrifying thing that existed in mythology and ancient history actually appeared? I don't believe it. No matter what kind of ghost it is, it will be destroyed today. But Zhan Shaoling was shouting angrily at this moment. Elder, do it. Suddenly, Xuanhuan next to him suddenly took out a Buddha statue. It is a golden Buddha statue, which contains the supreme power of aspiration. On the sacred occasion, the Buddha's light comes out faintly, and it seems that it can save all living beings. I will open my eyes and suppress everything. Xuanhuan shouted. This is their biggest trump card. Buddha's Dharmakaya. At this moment, the entire area is shrouded in the Buddha's light, and the sound of the Buddha sounds, making people worship. Moreover, the closed Buddha eyes of this golden Buddha statue are beating slowly, as if they are about to open. However, that strange creature's expression was so strange and indifferent, with grey mist as its eyes, looking at the Buddha statue. Bang! Suddenly, the eyes of the Buddha statue in Xuanhuan's hand were split open. Then, the entire Buddha statue cracked. The smoke disappeared, the Buddha's voice disappeared, and this Buddha statue didn't even have a chance to open its eyes. And Xuanhuan let out a scream, the Buddha statue shattered into pieces, and he suffered backlash, his chest exploded, he was seriously injured and dying, and fell to the ground. When something strange happens, gods and Buddhas close their eyes, all heavens and worlds will be in chaos, and the whole world will enter death. I understand, the most powerful person in the past sealed this thing here, but today, it has been open. The ghost Lord Tianan spoke in horror and said. The source of great disaster has been released. At this moment, everyone was scared. Gods can't bear it, Buddhas can't suppress it, even the gods and Buddhas in the sky can't even close their eyes. Zhan Chonglei walked towards everyone in the Zhan family. Kill him, kill him. Zhan Shaoling trembled, panic written on his face. The remaining strong men of the Zhan family used all their strength. However, wherever Zhan Chonglei touched, those people died quickly, and all spells and divine objects became ineffective. Then, the dead people stood up again and became equally demonic. Different. It can't be killed or defeated at all. It seems to be above all the powers in the world. In the blink of an eye, a group of strange dead people headed towards Zhan Shaoling, instantly surrounding him. At this moment, Zhan Shaoling was completely terrified. No. No. Save me, come on, save me. He shouted in great panic and looked around, but everyone in the Zhan family was already dead, and Xuanhuan was seriously injured. Suddenly, he saw Yun 11, Ziling and others. Surprisingly, no strange dead person came towards them, but instead seemed to be avoiding them. Even Yunkin, who was relatively close to them, was not targeted by the strange dead man. No. Yungzi and the others have something on them that can save their lives. Zhan Shaoling's thoughts raced, he wanted to break out of the encirclement, break out to them. Yunkin, save me! He shouted. When Yunqin saw this, she was so anxious that she rushed to Zhan Shaoling's side regardless of her own safety. She took out various magical objects and tried her best to block them, saying, Quick, Shaoling, let's run away, let's run away. However, the surroundings are already full of those weird creatures. Thank you. A ferocious look flashed across Zhan Shaoling's face, and he suddenly pushed Yunqin. Yunqin immediately staggered forward, and two strange dead men immediately reached out and grabbed her. Zhang Xiaoling took the opportunity to break out of the siege of the dead and hurriedly approached Yun 11 and the others. No! Yun Qin screamed. At this moment, her face was full of horror. She turned back to Zhang Xiaoling and said, "Xiaoling, save me, save me." Zhang Xiaoling said in a deep voice, "You should have died long ago. Don't worry, I will remember you, go with peace of mind." Extremely ruthless. No. You lied to me, you lied to me. You don't love me at all. Yunkin trembled. She felt that the strange aura had begun to erode her body. At this moment, she shed tears after learning the truth and regretted it to the extreme. There are more and more strange attacks, and she is already heading towards death. No. Sister Yungzi, Sister Yungzi. She tried her best and turned to look at Yun 11, with tears in her eyes. Yun 11 looked at Yun Qin, and there seemed to be a trace of unbearability in his eyes. At this moment, Yun Qin actually felt that the strange invasion had stopped because of Yun 11's sympathy for her. Do even weird things have to avoid Yungzi? She completely understood in her heart that if she wanted to survive, her only hope was Yungzi. "Yungzi, I was wrong, sister, I'm sorry for you, please save me, we grew up together, we are good sisters." She cried so sincerely. Yungzi was silent for a moment and said, "We are good sisters, yes." When Yun Qin heard this, she was extremely excited. At this moment, she almost wanted to kneel at Yun 11's feet and kiss Yun 11's feet. Yungzi looked at Yunkin and continued word by word. "We are good sisters, so after you die, I will bury you well." The trace of unbearability completely disappeared from her eyes. Yun Qin trembled. When Yun 11's last trace of pity for her disappeared, the strangeness came like a tide. "Ah!" She screamed miserably and her body twisted. Immediately afterwards, her true spirit was completely wiped out, and her skin quickly turned grey and was covered with groupers. She has become a strange dead person. These dead people. Yun Qianshan was frightened and solemn. This scene was beyond his understanding. These weird dead people were too scary, but what surprised him even more was that his granddaughters actually made those weird dead people afraid. At this moment, the humanoid creature formed by the strange tree roots behind it also looked at the three people of Yungzi, and its eyes made of grey mist fell on Xiling. Empty and cold, demonic and ruthless, it is approaching Xiling step by step. However, suddenly, a corpse suddenly fell at its feet, pulling on a tree root, as if to stop it. Immediately afterwards, the withered corpses fell in front of it one after another, suppressing some of its roots. Those corpses were extremely heaven-defying creatures when they were alive, including ancient giants, unparalleled powerful men, and strange creatures, but they had been dead for countless years, and used their lives to protect the last grape of the original God grape, leaving behind a ray of hope. It is conceivable that the reason why the grey mist that drowned the primitive gods was able to be suppressed was probably inseparable from these prehistoric strong men. At this moment, the strangeness reappeared. The strong men in the past were dead, but their corpses still had an instinct to block them. Even though he is a corpse, he is still holding on. However, the strange creature formed by the tree roots moved forward indifferently. In the past, the most powerful man could only be suppressed by fighting with his life. Now, how can he stop it with his corpse? In an instant, those corpses were shattered into pieces. No. When Xiling saw those corpses being destroyed, she felt a great sadness. She stepped forward, stared at the strange creatures, and said word by word, "In this life, you can no longer cause trouble." After saying that, there was a hoe in her hand. That's a small medicine hoe, with one side as an axe and one side as a hoe. She held the medicine hoe, and then struck hard with the side of the axe. In an instant. Boom! The sky is dark, thousands of cracks are cracking, and the stars in the sky are trembling. This split seems to be able to split the whole world, and can chop up all cause and effect. A surge of supreme true intention, slashing at the strange creatures. Grey mist instantly erupted from the strange creatures, so thick that it almost destroyed everything, trying to block the power of this medicinal hoe. However, everything was in vain. The next moment, the entire strange creature was chopped into pieces. The tree roots infected by the strange energy were scattered all over the place. A strange grey mist dispersed, and then it fled wildly and went underground. Seeing this scene, everyone was extremely shocked. What level of hoe is that? Why is it so powerful? Zhan Shaoling's face was shocked. Can she actually crush weird spirits? Where did she come from? The ghost master Tianan was horrified in his eyes. But Xiaoling didn't stop, she stepped forward with a hoe and started digging. Suddenly, the entire tree was dug out of the earth, and the endless roots and stems were covered with grey mist, like maggots parasitizing. Today, wipe out everything. Xiaoling shouted and suddenly took out a picture scroll. Picture of the rising sun in spring. The scroll is wide open, as if a new sun has appeared, and the pure sunlight is shining, as if it is awakening the vitality between heaven and earth. At this moment, everyone has a feeling that when the scroll is opened, their lives are growing and their spiritual power is rushing. Even the wounds on Xuanhuan's body were healing, and Yun Qianshan felt that the toxins in his body were being resolved by the gentle power at this moment, and the wounds disappeared in an instant. A round of illumination for all living beings, blessing the world. The sun is like a rotating millstone, wiping away those strange grey fogs. Those grey fogs and divine magic weapons are invulnerable and seem to be above everything else, but at this moment they are evaporating and disappearing completely. The rest of the people were so shocked by the terrifying energy shown in this picture that they knelt on the ground, completely stunned. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 466. A spring sun, like the embodiment of some supreme avenue, can obliterate everything. The grey fog has been wiped away. The giant petrified vines were already lying on the ground, like fossils, lifeless. The weird aura has completely disappeared in this area. Xiaoling put away the scroll and stepped forward step by step. She looked at those long-lost corpses, her heart trembling. I can't remember who you are, I don't know who I used to be or what I experienced. Xiaoling murmured, extremely determined, and said. But I'm here. This world has not been destroyed. Shenpu also retains hope and seeds. You guys can rest in peace. She raised her hoe and was digging a hole. Then, she buried those corpses. After an eternity, she returned from the underworld, but could only see fragments of the years, and then buried the heroes who died in the battle. Everyone in the back looked at the scene and were stunned. What exactly is the treasure in her hand? It is so powerful, could it surpass the wandering god and be the magic weapon of the true god? Zhan Shaoling trembled. Yu Shen Zhanbai's divine poison dagger contains terrifying toxins that can kill gods, but it was inexplicably defused by that power. Yun Qianshan was in disbelief and touched his chest, even the wounds healed instantly. It's so outrageous. And the ghost lord Tianan murmured. What terrible artifacts. That hoe and that scroll, are they ancient artifacts from the ancestral gods of the creation era? Finally, Xiaoling buried the corpses. Then, she walked over step by step and gently stroked the petrified giant vine. She was in a trance, as if she saw a woman who looked exactly like her, painting under a grapevine. Previous life? She doesn't know. The giant vine is indeed dead, with no life left at all. She walked to the big dark purple grape, stretched out her hand, and gently picked it off. Boom! Suddenly, the entire petrified giant vine shattered into pieces and turned into powder on the ground. The giant vine that has been dead for a long time is still strong to this day. Perhaps, it is just waiting. Waiting for the return of a world-honored one who went on an expedition, leaving hope for him. Now, Xialing is finally here, but countless years have passed. The strong ones are destroyed, and the evergreen primitive gods are destroyed. All that is left is one divine fruit. Holding the dark purple grape in the palm of your hand, the soaring primitive power can make people's pores dilate. It is conceivable that just a drop of juice from this grape can make people become gods on the spot. But Xiling only felt a sense of sadness. She put the grape in a box. This is hope, maybe rebirth. She believed that as long as she brought it back, the master would be able to find a solution. Then, she turned around and walked to Yun-11 and the other two. I found it, you can go back. Xialing spoke, feeling a little disappointed. Yun-11 nodded, but then she looked at Zhan Shaoling, Xuanhuan, and others. These people are still alive now. Zhan Shaoling immediately panicked. At this moment, he was scared. He now fully understands that from the beginning, he misjudged the strength of the being in the wilderness. Their Zhan family clearly has a background at the true God level, and they have brought so many divine artifacts. But there is a huge difference between him and the one in the wilderness. A scroll. Something that can erase the level of weirdness. God, how dare I plot against such an existence before? He felt that it was over. Not only was he finished, but the Zhan family might also be implicated because of it. No, Yungzi, you can't kill me. He spoke tremblingly and said. Give me a chance, our Zhan family is willing to become vassals of your Yun family. Please. He knelt down and burst into tears. But Yungzi was unmoved. Seeing this, Zhan Shaoling suddenly turned his head, looked at the group of ghosts next to him, stared at the starving ghosts, and said. Master Ghost. You promised me that you would take action for me once and save me. He was grasping at straws. He could see that these ghosts were very powerful. One or two of them were so powerful that he couldn't even see through what level they were. But when the starving ghost heard this, he twitched his face and said. Stop hurting me, you're going to die soon. Zhan Shaoling was immediately angry and said, You made a ghost oath, but you dare to break it. Hearing this, the starving ghost suddenly laughed, opened his mouth and said. Look clearly, I have no teeth. The starving ghost seemed extremely proud. Seeing this, Zhan Shaoling was immediately stunned. Damn, what's going on? This is a toothless ghost? How can it be? You are so shameless. He cursed angrily and jumped in anger, saying, Damn it, you cheated my baby ghost away, you cheated me with food and drink, are you still a humming human being? The starving ghost said, Yes, I have no teeth, and I am not ruthless. Zhan Shaoling was completely desperate at this moment. He looked up to the sky and shouted in tears, I will never let you go even if I am a ghost. After saying that, he suddenly stabbed his heart with a knife. He committed suicide. And the starving ghost suddenly waved his hand, and on Zhan Shaoling's body, a phantom was immediately held in his hand and he ate it in one bite. That is Zhan Shaoling's soul. If you want to be a ghost, have you asked the ghost? I'll kill you and you won't even be able to do it. The hungry ghost licked his tongue. Next to him, Yun Qianshan looked at the scene with a complicated expression. This Zhan Shaoling died so tragically. If you do business with ghosts, you will be eaten until you are left with nothing. Even if you want to be a ghost, there is no chance. After finishing the meal, the starving ghost wiped his mouth and suddenly looked at Yun-11 with a look of sorrow and indignation, saying, Sir, just rape her. She pulled out my teeth. Please pay me back, sir. He believes that the Ghost Lord can definitely avenge himself. And Yun-11 also looked at the Ghost Lord Tianan. The Ghost Lord Tianan was instantly panicked at this moment. He was really filled with hatred before. After all, two of his subordinates had their teeth pulled out. If he didn't take revenge, he would never be able to get around again. But now. Damn, are you crazy? Looking for revenge on this girl? He is someone who is not even afraid of weird things. He slapped the starving ghost away. Then, he stepped forward, saluted respectfully, and said, "Girl, I'm sorry, I'm not strict in my discipline. Let's not interfere with the river. Goodbye. Goodbye." He wished he could run away quickly. But Yun 11's eyes lit up. She recognized the ghost from the voice and said, "It's you. The effect of your teeth is really good, much better than the teeth of the two ghosts around you." Hearing this, the group of ghosts were immediately shocked. What? Ghost Lord's teeth are of good quality? This girl pulled out the Ghost Lord's teeth? All the ghosts are panicking. And Goichi sighed silently. He knew that he couldn't hide it anymore. He had even guessed that these two tooth-extracting monsters were so fond of pulling out ghosts' teeth that they probably started with the Ghost Lord. He looked up at the sky with a look of helplessness on his face. The Bane, the Bane. At this moment, Tien and Ghost Lord also felt his ghost teeth froze, but he could only bite the bullet and said, thank you for the compliment. My mother asked me to go home for dinner. I'll leave first." He turned around and ran away. "It's too late if you don't run away." "Stop." Yun 11 opened his mouth. He really stopped and didn't dare to run. Because he knew he couldn't run away. "Girl, what do you want to do?" The Ghost Lord Tianan asked nervously, with a sad face, and said, "The quality of my teeth is actually very poor." Yungzi road. "It's okay. It doesn't matter if the quality is a little bit off now. We'll make do with it for now. You can just work hard to make your teeth grow better in the future. Don't feel inferior." Hearing this, Tianan Ghost Lord was stunned. What does this mean? Will the current ghost tooth be used? Do you want to grow better in the future? He was even more panicked. Tianan Ghost Lord wanted to vomit blood. He wanted to say, "Am I inferior? I'm so scared. Come on, we are in a hurry to get home. Should you do it yourself or should I help you?" Yungzi rolled up his sleeves and was very excited. At this moment, Tianan Ghost Lord felt extremely sad and angry. My own generation of ghost masters once made the stars tremble, and everyone under the stars was praising his evil name. Today actually. He really wanted to muster up the courage to fight. However, thinking about the strangeness that was wiped out, he took a deep breath, gritted his teeth, suddenly turned his head, looked at the ghosts, and said, "I've all fainted." Suddenly, the group of ghosts were stunned for a moment, and then everyone understood. The hanged man took out a handful of black bricks and slapped him on the forehead. The bricks can give the ghost a concussion, and immediately the hanged ghost faints. A group of ghosts took over one after another. In an instant, everyone fainted. At this time, Tianan Ghost Lord breathed a sigh of relief, closed his eyes, and punched his teeth. A handful of ghost teeth that looked like jasper suddenly appeared in his hand. He trembled, offered his teeth, and said, "All my teeth, please, let me go." At this moment, as a ghost master, he was extremely humble. Yungzi took over Gia and was very happy. Ziling, look, there are so many teeth. This time, everyone in the courtyard can have one. Yungzi smiled at Xiling. Ziling also showed a rare smile, nodded, then looked at the ghost master and said, "But we can't let you go yet. Let me write a word for you." Then, she picked up the pen and wrote 4 big characters on the forehead of Tianan Ghost Lord. "Be a good ghost." The ghost master Tianan is about to collapse. Damn it, his generation of ghost masters has actually fallen to this point. Be a good ghost? There's no way to mess around anymore. There's no way to mess around. Huh? I feel like this ghost is too strong. I'm afraid this restriction won't be able to hold him down for too long. Zi Ling found that the gap in strength between herself and the ghost master seemed to be huge. I'm afraid that after a while, the prohibition will disappear. She rolled her big eyes and suddenly said, "These 4 words contain my master's talisman of life and death. They can kill everything in the sky and on the earth. If it gets dark one day, it's about to explode. Well, if you don't want to die, remember to come to our village. As long as you give in enough teeth, we will extend your life." She made up a random lie. Hearing this, Lord Tianangui's eyes widened. His mentality was shattered. What the hell did he think of himself? Ghost tooth supplier? Or the kind that doesn't cost money? He raised his eyes and felt like crying without tears. He was a powerful ghost master. He didn't dare to doubt what Zi Ling said, because the existence behind Zi Ling really didn't even pay attention to the gray fog, the source of disaster in the creation era. Ants at my level can be killed with just a thought. At first, he thought that the being was treating him as a chess piece, but now he felt that he was not even a chess piece. The being who saved him was just doing it casually and just because he liked him. He subconsciously gritted his teeth, but found that he had no teeth anymore. He became even more sad and angry. He could only nod aggrievedly and said, "I'm qualified, I will work hard to grow teeth." He felt that this was the most humiliating sentence in his life. It's purely to survive, to survive. Next to him, Yun Qianshan was looking at the scene in a daze. "My granddaughter, what happened in the past 3 years? It's so bad that you can pull out the teeth of such a terrifying ghost? What is the origin of this girl in purple skirt? I'm going to go out and relax. I'll fly to Shanghai tomorrow. I'll do 2 updates during this period. When I find the meaning of life, I'll do 3 updates. Everyone needs meaning in life and needs to keep looking for it. I wish you all a happy life." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 467. In the blink of an eye, Yun 11 and others had walked out of this secret realm. Perhaps the source of the strangeness has been completely wiped out. At this moment, the evil aura disappeared in the wilderness. The world in this area is completely clear, with only fresh air and pure and rich spiritual energy remaining. Xiling and Mu Wanqing walked forward first, while Yungzi and Yun Qianshan fell behind. After all, there was so much to say when grandfather and grandson reunited. The curse of the god burial wasteland has been broken. The land that even the gods cannot set foot on has now become a blessed land. Yun Qianshan's expression became more complicated and he said, 11 Yetu, where have you been in the past 3 years? Yungzi has been so weird these past 3 years, even the soul lamp has been extinguished. Yun 11 said, Grandpa, you may not believe it, I entered the underworld. Hades. Yun Qianshan's expression changed. The underworld is extremely mysterious. It only exists in records. No one in the Great Ruins realm has ever seen it. Yungzi actually went to the underworld. No wonder the soul lamp was extinguished. At that time, you really no longer existed in this world. Yun Qianshan murmured, he understood that a lot must have happened to Yun 11. No matter what, go home with Grandpa quickly. Your dad misses you too much. He spoke. But Yun 11 shook his head and said, Grandpa, I can't go back now. Yun Qianshan suddenly became angry and said, you are too willful, don't you even want a home? Yungzi said weakly. Grandpa, I can't help myself now, I have become someone else's slave. Yun Qianshan suddenly became stunned. Life slave. His eyes suddenly filled with anger, and he said angrily. Who? Which bastard dares to do this to you? Our Yun family will fight with him until death. He was completely angry. This was his only granddaughter. How can you become someone else's slave? A clan war must begin. Yun 11 hurriedly said. Grandpa, he is not as bad as you think, he is very good to me. Yun Qianshan was heartbroken and said. Girl 11, don't be afraid. Who has our Yun family been afraid of? In the worst case, we can still contact the divine realm. What state is that guy in? He asked directly. Even a true god cannot bully his granddaughter like this. When Yun 11 heard this, he was silent for a moment and said. I don't know what state he is in. He looks like a normal person. He usually likes to raise chickens and fish, grow flowers and grass, write poetry and paint. Well, Sister Xiling's little hoe is what he usually uses to dig the ground. Hearing this, Yun Qianshan was immediately shocked. That hoe? For digging? Are you talking about that hoe that can chop weird creatures into pieces? He asked incredulously. Yes, he also painted that picture of the rising sun in spring. He knows a lot of things. Yun Qianshan's face was full of disbelief. In this case, the one who regards Yun 11 as his life slave, couldn't it be that he can eliminate strange existences? Thinking of this, his face turned extremely ugly. That is a strange thing recorded in the creation era. Gods and Buddhas would close their eyes. The Yun family can't even imagine what level they are capable of destroying such a person. I'm afraid he is also a huge figure in God's domain, right? At this moment, he thought of a lot. Such a being actually lives in seclusion in the Great Ruins realm, and promotes a recurrence of the underworld. In the end, he is still plotting strange things. The other party actually turned Yun 11 into a slave. Could it be that he wanted the Yun family to become pawns? Actually, he is quite nice. Look, Grandpa, this is the butterfly he gave me. As he spoke, a group of butterflies appeared on Yungzi's hand. Yun Qianshan's breathing became rapid as soon as he climbed up, and his expression was shocked. Some butterfly wings are colorful and radiant with rainbow light, and some are as if they are made of red gold and are magical. Is this a colorful butterfly? A red golden divine butterfly? A sky-splitting jade butterfly? He was confused. These butterflies, each one is more terrifying than the last. They are all mythical creatures, and it is said that only in the vast divine realm can clues be found. Anyone, any kind, if it appears in the outside world, it will cause huge waves, and the giants of the gods will pay attention. But now, there are so many kinds, and a large group of them gather around Yun 11? He sent it? Yun Qianshan trembled a little. Damn it, what kind of giant or boss is this? Can even this kind of sacred creature be given away? Moreover, they are sent in groups. Isn't that too generous? Is this treating mythological creatures as cabbage? Yun 11 nodded and said. Yes. At this moment, Yun Qianshan felt like he was doomed. Damn it, the Yun family would be completely helpless when encountering such a big boss. He didn't abuse you, right? He was a little worried, thinking that there was no hope of saving Yun 11, so he could only hope that Yun 11 wouldn't suffer. Yun 11 said, No, Grandpa, don't worry. He is a virtuous man, and he can also cook. He will make delicious food for me every day. When Yun Qianshan heard this, he felt that his mind was a little hard to turn around. Xuanhuan. Does your granddaughter use this word to describe a big shot at that level? He was stunned and felt strange. Well, by the way, Grandpa, my bloodline seems to have changed a bit. Yun 11 then spoke and activated the power of her blood. In an instant, the blood was like bright smoke, lingering around her. Within 100 miles, the vegetation bowed down, and the birds and animals even knelt down. In the sky, the sun's rays suddenly shifted, as if they did not dare to fall on her. It's like being respected by everyone in the world. When Yun Qianshan saw this, he suddenly took a breath of air conditioning and was horrified, saying, "What kind of physique is this? Mysterious body? Celestial body? Divine body?" He doesn't know, because it has never appeared in the history of the Great Ruins realm. It has exceeded all the records of the Great Ruins realm. Even for him, it is beyond the scope. Did you eat any heaven-defying divine fruit?" Yun Qianshan asked excitedly. Yun 11 smiled, put away his bloodline power, and said, "No, it's just a simple meal every day. Well, Grandpa, I'm living a good life anyway, you don't have to worry." She didn't dare to tell her grandfather about the small mountain village, because it would be bad if the Devil King was angry. Showing butterflies and blood was just to reassure her grandfather. As for everything related to the big devil, she felt that it was even more important to keep it a secret. However, Yun Qianshan's face was full of disbelief. "Simple and unpretentious food? I'm afraid I don't take spiritual medicine every day." However, he was completely relieved at this moment. No matter what kind of existence it is, now it seems that it is really good for Yungzi. "Okay, then Grandpa will go back first. You have some free time. Ask him for a leave and come home to see you." Yun Qianshan spoke with complicated emotions. He compromised, completely compromised. "Yeah, I'll go and tell him, Grandpa, I'm leaving." Yun 11 immediately prepared to leave. "Yungzi." At this time, Yun Qianshan stopped her again and warned, Don't be naughty. When dealing with that kind of person, you must always be careful and don't offend him. Our family can't help you." He was really worried that if Yungzi made that kind of person angry, it would be over. "Know it?" Yun 11 disappeared and went to chase Ziling and the others. Yun Qianshan, on the other hand, just stood there. He felt that all this was a bit like a dream. A virtuous and terrifying existence. And he sent so many heaven-defying divine butterflies. The more he thought about it, the more he felt something was wrong. Suddenly, he raised his eyes and looked in the direction Yun 11 left. What is the relationship between this terrifying existence and Yungzi? And at this moment, Zhongzhou. Big shock today. Because the soul lamps of countless strong men who rushed to the eastern wilderness were all extinguished. What happened? The sect master is dead. God burial wasteland, what happened? It's all destroyed, it's all destroyed, how could it be like this? The world is in an uproar. Zhongzhou Zhan family, the head of Xuanhuan Peng looked at the dozens of extinguished soul lamps. He clenched his fists, gritted his teeth, and his eyes were full of anger. Tai's Hang elder Xuanhuan died. His only son died too. He wants to kill someone. Family head Qi, we just got the news that the Yun family is back. Yun Qianshan and others, they are not dead. An elder spoke in a deep voice. What? Yun Qianshan is alive. Xuanhuan Peng stared at the elder suddenly. At this moment, he thought of a lot. One of the most important goals of their Zhan family in the God burial wilderness this time is to kill Yun Qianshan. If Yun Qianshan cannot come back, they can better control the Yun family. After all, Yun Qianshan is a demigod level expert. But now, most of the Yun family members are back. Could the death of the Zhan family have anything to do with the Yun family? Report. At this time, another news came. All our branches in Yunzhou were uprooted by the Yun family. Yunzhou is the territory of the Yun family. Hearing this, Zhan Yuanpeng's pupils shrank. The Yun family is actually like this, it seems that their Zhan family's plan has failed. Xuanhuan and others will probably die in the hands of Yun Qianshan. There was so much hatred in his eyes that he said, I want to report to the gods immediately and notify the Zhan family to prepare for war. Prepare for war. Hearing these two words, all the elders of the Zhan family immediately understood that there was going to be chaos in Zhongzhou, the Great Ruins realm. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 468. Now. Somewhere in the Great Ruins realm, among the ethereal cloud peaks. The aura here is everywhere, just like a fairyland on earth, with a Taoist palace standing tall and otherworldly. In front of the Dao palace, there is a big halberd standing upright. The endless Deoxideo, spiritual energy, etc., seem to be pulled by some kind of magic circle, constantly nourishing the big halberd. If the world sees it, they will definitely recognize that the broken euphorbia belongs to Zhongzhou's famous god of war, Zhanbai. There are dozens of small states in Zhongzhou, the most famous of which are of course Yunzhou occupied by the Yun family, and Zhanzhou occupied by the Zhan family. Zhanjiayushan Zanbei is one of the most popular gods in the entire Degzu world. Now, in the empty palace, a middle-aged man in black clothes suddenly opened his eyes. The two cold lights in his eyes were like swords, and the Tao in front of him was suddenly annihilated. The plan failed. He frowned slightly. He had already received news from Xuanhuan Peng, the head of the Zhan family. The plan to capture the Yun family failed, and the Yun family has discovered the Zhan family's conspiracy. This is not good. He stood up immediately, and his black blood-stained cloak rose up. In the main hall, there is also a Buddha statue enshrined. He completed the summoning ceremony to the Buddha statue, and the Buddha statue suddenly emitted a faint yellow light, and vaguely, the Buddha statue actually wanted to open its eyes. Zhanbai said. Reporting to Master Qi, the Yun family's plan has failed. In the god burial wasteland, there are probably inexplicable beings born. The Buddha statue was silent for a moment, then slowly said. The people behind Xuanhuan and Liu Yang are planning to follow the original principles of the Great Ruins realm. I originally wanted you to pretend to agree to Yunyang's marriage, and then slowly plan for it. This is the safest way. But now it seems that the place I am interested in is really different and has many variables. Zhanbai listened, thought for a long time, and said, Master Buddhist, from the perspective of this younger generation, I should contact Xuanhuan and Liu Yang to take action together. The Buddha statue nodded slightly and said, That's okay. I know the people behind them, but the people behind them don't know me. I am the enemy of darkness, and I always have the upper hand. Do as you are told. Zhanbai immediately bowed deeply, and then left the palace. Before leaving, he made a big move with his hand, and the halberd immediately rose from the ground, bringing up sand and gravel all over the sky, and finally landed firmly in his hand. Soon after, Zhanbai arrived in front of a certain Taoist palace. Two Taoist brothers Xuanhuan and Liu Yang, Zhanbai came to ask for an audience. He came to look for Xuanhuan and the two. Immediately afterwards, there was a huge earthquake in Zhongzhou. A message spread. The Yun family betrayed their trust and killed the geniuses and strong men of our clan in the god burial wasteland. Today, the Zhan family will launch a clan war to fight the Yun family until death. From the family of gods, the Zhan family. The news spread quickly, and everyone in the world was paying attention. What? The war family actually declared war on the Yun family. If the two families just got married before, are they about to get married? How could there be such a big change? You don't know something. During the trip to the eastern wasteland, all the families who went to Zhongzhou, including the Xianming Zhan Shaoling of the Zhan family, were all dead. Only the Yun family returned. There is news that it was the Yun family. Do it? People are talking a lot. At the same time, The Zhan family sent invitations to countless forces in Zhongzhou, inviting them to attack the Yun family together. In an instant, countless aristocratic families, sects, etc. all responded. Without him, during this trip to the eastern wasteland, all major families and forces suffered great losses, and the Yun family became the most reasonable target of suspicion. Moreover, there are rumors circulating that this time it will not only be Xuanhuan who targets the Yun family. You must know that in the entire Great Ruins realm, there are only 4 gods who are clearly still alive today. If multiple gods unite, even the Yun family, the oldest family of gods, will not be able to withstand it. The difference in strength is too great, and no one would choose to stand with the Yun family. Haha, what a good opportunity. All the experts have gathered together. We are going to participate in this battle and carve up the Yun family, the family of gods. Even if we just grab something casually, it will be enough for us to use for the rest of our lives. Even many forces that did not participate in the trip to the eastern wilderness sent troops to form an alliance with the Zhan family. Divide the Yun family. This has become a motivation for many people. Let's go and destroy the Yun family. The coalition of major forces set out from Zhangzhou today. The head of the Zhan family, Xuanhuan, personally served as the marshal of the coalition. And at this moment, Donghuang. In the Muling dynasty, Mu Wanqing returned from the wilderness and now stood in front of the old vine to worship the spirits, telling what happened in the wilderness. Weird creatures, original gods. Lao Teng whispered, full of emotion, and said, the origins of Senior Li in the wilderness are really unimaginable. Wanqing, you are so lucky to meet Senior Li. Mu Wanqing also nodded deeply. Although she doesn't know what Senior Li's intentions are and how big his situation is, she has made up her mind and will do her best to serve Senior Li. Report. At this time, a messenger came quickly and said, Your Majesty, we just received news that there is chaos in Zhongzhou. The Zhan family declared war on the Yun family and formed a coalition army. Hearing this, Mu Wanqing's expression suddenly changed. What? The Zhongzhou allied forces are attacking the Yun family. The Yun family is Sister Yongzi's family, and the Muling dynasty must not just sit idly by. She immediately spoke and said, pass the message, Elder Zhenkong and Elder Rantian will lead the imperial army and set off immediately. Xingyu rushes to the aid of the Yun family. I'm going to Dawang. I have to tell Sister Yongzi about this. She left immediately. Now. Wilderness, small mountain village. Li Fan, we are back. Yongzi and Xiling pushed open the door and entered. Li Fan was teaching Xining a new poem, and he couldn't help but stop at this moment. However, he discovered that Xiling and Yongzi didn't bring back any plants. Didn't find it? Rare plants, can I get anything? He asked immediately. Hearing this, Xiling stepped forward and said, Master, we found it, but the mother plant is already dead. She was a little disappointed, so she took out the wooden box and opened it. Among them, a large crystal purple grape lay quietly in the wooden box. This is the only grape left. Nanfan, Lurang and others were very surprised when they looked at the big grape. What a powerful divine power, I feel like it contains the power of a universe. Long Zixuan spoke solemnly. The quality of these grapes is not much different from that of flat peaches. Zhang Li guessed. Only one left? It's such a pity. Wu Dade looked regretful. Master, can you make the mother vine reborn? Ziling's face was full of hope. When Li Fan heard this, he couldn't help but pick up Xiling's grape, put it in his hand and rubbed it for a long time. It's really a good grape. No wonder it was a rare species. He had never grown this variety of grapes before. And looking at the expressions on the faces of a group of disciples, Li Fan also understood. It seems that everyone likes fruits like grapes. Moreover, after all, This is a rare plant species. It is not easy to encounter it. Li Fan is determined not to let it go. He immediately handed the grapes to Zi Ling and said, "Eat it." Hearing this, Zi Ling was stunned for a moment. Eat it? Master, do you really want to eat?" She spoke with some apprehension. Li Fan nodded and said, "Whether this grapevine can be reborn depends entirely on the results of what you eat. The flight was delayed and I just landed in Shanghai. I was updated at the airport and went to find a hotel first. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert." Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 469. Zi Ling felt extremely uneasy. This was the only fruit left by the original divine grape, but the master let herself eat it. However, she believed that master must have a deep meaning, so she no longer hesitated, opened her mouth and put the grape into her mouth. Bite it gently, and in an instant, she feels as if a world of boiling sacred substances is blooming in her mouth. It is extremely sweet, and every drop of juice has been accumulated for countless years. It is the accumulation of the most essence of the original divine grape. At this moment, the sound of chanting seemed to be ringing in her ears, and before her eyes she seemed to see thousands of avenues paving the way for her. Every step she took was a new realm. Even in the small courtyard, the avenue was singing in harmony with her at this moment, forming invisible pictures. Vaguely, she even saw another version of herself, who attained enlightenment in 9 heavens and 10 earths, and died in the flames of war. That is the afterimage that traveled through time and space, that is the sacredness that has endured through eternity. The ancient painting path is resurrecting, and it resonates with her at this moment. The endless sacred breath pours into her whole body, making Zi Ling's whole body feel like she has been reborn, and her breath rises to the sky. Concentrate on the 7th heaven, concentrate on the 3 perfections. The realm of God refining, the 3rd heaven of God refining, the perfection of God refining. The realm of spiritual connection, the 6th level of spiritual connection, the spiritual connection is complete. She was like a great river, breaking through all obstacles and stepping into the state of becoming a god. At this moment, she was enough to be called a sub-god. Moreover, her breakthrough was so sacred. In every realm, there were invisible sacred creatures dancing, with divine phoenixes and true dragons soaring, and Pegasus, Suzaku, etc. dancing with them. Vaguely, a terrifying aura rose into the sky, as if it was about to split the sky. Zi Ling's whole person had a sense of detachment, as if she was about to leave this world. What happened? Wu Dade was surprised. Isn't this kind of breakthrough too scary? The way to the most powerful one cannot be suppressed by the sky and cannot be sustained by the earth. Senior Sister Xiling's breakthrough is a mythical and legendary breakthrough. According to records, her breakthrough at this level can destroy the world. Zhang Li was extremely surprised. He looked through the whole book and read the largest collection of Li Fan's books, so he knew many secrets. At this moment, a peach branch drooped gently. In an instant, all the visions were controlled within the small courtyard, and Xiling's sense of detachment was diluted. In fact, if she were not in a small courtyard or a small mountain village, then the vision she had broken through at this moment would indeed be enough to cause the world to collapse. Because this world simply cannot bear this level of breakthrough, it has surpassed the limit of a world and reached a state where the sky cannot stand on it and the earth is not enough to support it. This kind of breakthrough is also called a monopoly-level breakthrough. Once a breakthrough is made, it will be an invincible rhythm in the same realm. Zhang Li continued to speak, his expression extremely complicated. Hearing this, everyone was extremely surprised. The sovereign, once you break through, you will be the sovereign in your realm, invincible at the same level. It's so scary. Senior Sister Xiling is too strong. Why don't our rare plants bear fruit yet? I also want to find rare plants. I want to go too. For a time, Everyone spoke one after another, very envious. Zi Ling's level is still rising at this moment. Transformation into the first layer of heaven. The second heaven of transformation God. The seventh heaven of transformation gods. The 9 heavens of transformation gods. The 9th heaven is perfect. Moreover, the terrifying energy erupted by that divine star has just begun. At this moment, she is almost crossing the threshold and becoming a god in one step. However, there was an inexplicable path hanging down in the small courtyard, which was suppressed by her. The branches of the peach tree hung lightly, and a soft female voice came into Zi Ling's mind. Becoming a god is a keynote. It cannot be crossed easily. It needs to be understood. Hearing this, Zi Ling nodded deeply, and she also used her magic power to store Shen Pu's peerless energy in her danshan. In fact, this divine grape was so terrifying that she felt that the breakthrough to sub-god perfection would probably consume 1/10,000,000th of the energy of the divine grape. If they were all refined, I'm afraid she would reach an unspeakable realm. After all, this divine grape was originally something that countless powerful men had left behind with their lives eons ago. It was prepared for Zi Ling's previous life, and could even allow people to live a second life. Senior Sister Xiling, that's too fierce. Only one step away from becoming a god. Rare plants, how can this be a rare plant? All the things Master asked us to find are peerless miracle medicines. Zhang Li and others are also extremely envious. And Li Fan, seeing the expression on Zi Ling's face, knew that these grapes must be delicious. Zi Ling, just eat it and spit out the seeds. You can't swallow the seeds. He reminded hurriedly. Let Xiling eat grapes, and more importantly, see if there are any grape seeds. Hearing this, Zi Ling was startled for a moment, then she opened her red lips and spit out a grape seed. Grape seeds are like a grain of sand, but they contain unparalleled energy, as if they contain a whole world. Master, is this a seed? Zi Ling held it gently, and at this moment, she seemed to understand something. Yes, with this kind of seed, you can naturally grow grapevines. Li Fan took the grape seeds, inspected them, and nodded. These grape seeds are full of vitality. As long as they are planted and cared for carefully, they will probably germinate. He couldn't help but feel lucky that this was not a seedless grape, otherwise it would have been doomed. Lu Rang, go and burn some plant ashes. Li Fan spoke immediately. When Lu Rang heard this, he immediately understood that the master must be using some strange skills in the cultivation method, so he hurried to do it, and after a while, the plant ashes were already burned. Li Fan picked up the hoe and dug a hole next to the Kirin tree, evergreen tree, and world tree. He first poured cold tea water through the soil, then sprinkled in plant ash, and poured it a second time before placing the seeds. He went inside and covered it with earth. If it goes well, maybe it will sprout without using it. Li Fan spoke. Hearing this, Zi Ling was very happy and excited. Although she does not remember the events of her previous life, she deeply understands that in order to preserve the original divine grape, too many people have sacrificed their lives. Now, the original divine grape finally has hope of rebirth. Big Devil, we found a lot of good things this time. At this time, Yun 11 also spoke. She took out a small bundle of firewood and said, "No, this is the firewood we brought from the depths of the wilderness. It still smells fragrant when burned. It must be great for barbecue." When the disciples saw this, they were also surprised. This is firewood. Every stick is clearly filled with endless Taoist charms. Do these firewood grow in Taoyuan? However, everyone quickly calmed down. These firewood are indeed not very common, but they are indeed just firewood. Li Fan looked at it casually and couldn't help but smile. Okay, let's leave it for now. When the time comes, we will hunt some prey and then take you to have a barbecue. Barbecuing is indeed very addictive for him. Speaking of barbecue, he also missed it a little. When he was in the underworld, it felt like someone was delivering food. He ate it every day and ate as much as he could. It can't be done now. It's not okay in this earthly world. When a group of disciples heard this, they were all overjoyed. Thinking of barbecue, everyone was greedy. Yes, yes, we also found Ghost Fang. Yun 11 then spoke and said. Here, these are the ghost teeth that Sister Xiling and I found. One for each of us. We no longer have to worry about the summer heat. Li Fan looked over and saw that she actually had a lot of them. Li Fandu had a complicated look on his face. What's going on? Damn it, why is he so unlucky? Let two little girls have their teeth pulled out? It's so useless. You guys, how did you pull out the ghost's teeth? Li Fan couldn't help but wonder. Oh, it was afraid of us and gave it to us voluntarily. Yun 11 spoke calmly. Are ghosts afraid of Yungzi Xiling? Li Fangzhen said, why didn't he find these two little girls scary? However, he suddenly thought, could it be that Xiling and the others encountered the legendary coward? Well, it must be. He didn't think much about it immediately and said. Well, that's right. Let's give one to each person. Give the extra to Uncle Zhao Er and others. Yun 11 was very happy and said, okay. He immediately gave one to Subakian, Nanfan, and others. Nanfeng and others were very happy to get the Ghost Fang, because this way, summer would really not be hot at all. Ghost teeth are different from human teeth. Ghosts themselves are spiritual bodies, and the teeth that grow out are the condensation of their Taoist fruits. They are like cold and beautiful jade, which looks very beautiful and is very suitable for wearing. Even Bai Xiaoqing got one. She had nothing to do, so she put it in front of her little paws and played with it. Yungzi looked at everyone wearing ghost teeth and felt a sense of satisfaction in his heart. He could finally make some contribution to the village. As a member of the small courtyard, she was proud. I still have some here too. At this time, Xiling also spoke, and she took out a small bag. What she has on her body are the ghost teeth of the starving ghost and old ghost Gaiki, and the ones Yungzi just gave to everyone belong to the ghost lord. When Li Fan saw this, he couldn't help but be surprised. What on earth did these two seemingly innocent girls do in the outside world? Isn't that too much of a bully? The ghosts in this world are all too good-tempered, right? Are they allowed to be bullied like this? Tisk tisk. Well, ghost teeth are a good thing. If you have more of them, you can pile them into a small storage room and even use them to freeze watermelons. That would be great. Li Fan couldn't help but speak. Hearing this, Xiling and Yun 11's big eyes lit up. Iced watermelon? It feels so good to think about it. Senior Sister Xiling, where are the ghosts? Let's catch them and extract their teeth. When Wu Dade heard this, he was gearing up. Junior brother Lin, you are a heavenly master. It's so easy to find ghosts, but you have to work harder to freeze the watermelon. Yes, but I'm afraid there aren't enough ghosts in this world. Everyone said something to each other, it was so lively at the scene. Everyone is working together to eat iced watermelon as soon as possible. Li Fan also smiled helplessly and ignored it, letting these disciples make trouble. They were idle anyway. Is Senior Li here? At this time, Mu Wonking's voice sounded outside. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 470. Hearing the sounds outside, Li Fan turned around and said. Yes, please come in. Immediately, Mu Wonking walked in from outside. Senior, I'm looking for Sister Yungzi. Mu Wanqing spoke directly. Hearing this, Li Fan nodded and glanced at Yun 11. Yun 11's big eyes flashed with confusion, and she walked over and whispered, "Sister Wanqing, what's wrong?" Mu Wanqing sent a message, "Sister Yungzi, something happened in Zhongzhou. We just received news that the Zhan family claimed that the Yun family had murdered Zhan Shaoling and others, and declared war on the Yun family. Countless forces in Zhongzhou have formed a coalition, and the war is about to break out. Moreover, there are rumors circulating, claiming that the Yun family's wandering gods Zhanbai has the support of other wandering gods." Hearing this, Yun 11's eyes immediately became anxious and angry. The war family is so shameless, vicious dogs bite people, and even declares war on the Yun family. No, if the forces in Zhongzhou unite and other wandering gods jointly target, then even the Yun family, a family of gods, may be in danger. You have to go home. She immediately turned her head to look at Li Fan, bit her lower lip lightly, and said, "Big Demon King, I have to leave." Li Fan asked with concern. "What's wrong?" He sensed that something big must be happening. "Someone wants to cause trouble at home, I want to go back and fight." She was a little angry. Li Fan couldn't help being startled when he heard this. "Yungzi, go home and fight? What kind of fight is there between a girl and her family?" However, he also understood that if a little girl like Yun 11 could get into a fight, it seemed like the matter was serious. "No, how can you just sit idly by and ignore something like this?" He immediately said. "Xuanhuan, take everyone with you." "Copy guy. Isn't it just a fight?" Being desperate, he took the villagers with him. Him to death." Hearing this, Long Xuanhuan and others also immediately spoke. "Okay, disciple, obey. If you dare to mess with Yun 11, you are seeking death. Beat them until they don't recognize their parents." Long Xuanhuan, Qing Chen, Zhang Li, etc. were all implicated immediately, and Wu Dade even went to untie the dog's leash. "Master, we are going too." Xiling, Nanfan and others also spoke. Even Xian Ning and Gongya wanted to go. Li Fan was stunned for a moment, but still said, "Okay, let's go. There is strength in numbers." Immediately everyone picked up their weapons and prepared to go to war. When Mu Wanqing saw this scene, she was a little dumbfounded. When did a person of this level like Senior Li send out so many disciples? She has never seen it before. In fact, even facing the depths of the wilderness, where even gods can be slaughtered, Senior Li can only do it with a snap of his fingers. She deeply felt that Senior Li was overkill. However, immediately after, she suddenly took a deep look at Yun 11. Perhaps, Senior Li sent so many people not just for this battle. I'm afraid, this is to show an attitude to the outside world. Yungzi, is the person that the old man cares about? If you offend Yungzi, you will offend the entire courtyard. At this moment, Mu Wanqing suddenly had a new understanding of Yungzi's position in Senior Li's heart. Soon, everyone in the small courtyard was ready. They said goodbye to Li Fan and left the small courtyard. After everyone left, Li Fan hugged the little white cat and felt a little emotional. In this world, even mortals have to face various battles. Thinking of the things that the disciples had stolen during the fight, such as brooms, fishing rods, etc., he suddenly thought that the rotten iron sword given by the system should be sharpened. And at this moment, Zhongzhou. The situation has changed dramatically, and the world is in turmoil. Almost all the forces in Zhongzhou were involved in this war, and the vast majority of the forces took refuge with the Zhan family. During the trip to the eastern wasteland, all the people sent by the Zhan family and many big forces died. This was just a trigger. The fundamental reason why it was able to cause such a big stir and create a situation where the Yun family was the enemy of the whole world was that there was a big hand that touched the level of the gods, pushing it behind the scenes. Therefore, Now not only Zhongzhou, but also the entire Degzu world is involved. Many major forces in southern Xinjiang, Xiling, and Northern Territory have also sent experts to get a share of the pie. This is a hunting, and the target of the hunting is the Yun family, a family of gods. Once the Yun family is successfully divided, it is conceivable that any participating force will receive considerable benefits. Yunzhou has a vast territory with hundreds of cities. Now, outside Yunzhou, armies from all walks of life have gathered, and the darkness is overwhelming and countless. The number of people is more than 100,000. The leader is the Zhan family. Xuanhuan stood first, stared at the city in front, shouted loudly, and said, "Kill! Destroy the Yun family!" Suddenly, 100,000 troops roared and charged toward the city ahead. Soon, the city fell. Because, when the army rushed in, they discovered that it was an empty city. The Yun family has gathered all the people from various cities into the main city of the Yun family, Xuanhuan city. Haha, go straight to Xuanhuan city. Xuanhuan spoke. The army passed through the border like locusts. Soon, they had crossed countless cities and arrived in front of the main city of the Yun family. The army was densely packed, covering the sky and the sun, and filled with murderous intent. On the main city of the Yun family, the head of the family, Yun Yinshan, looked at the enemies ahead with an indifferent expression. The Zhan family really went too far in bullying others. They were clearly plotting against us, but now we have become the public enemy of the entire world. Some strong men roared lowly, angry and unwilling to give up. It's normal, because people in the world don't care about right or wrong, they only care about interests. The head of the family, Yun Yinshan, looked calm and said, "They came just because they felt that our Yun family was bound to fail. Right or wrong is not important, winning or losing is the key. The army from the front is approaching." "Haha, Yun Yinshan." Zhan Yuanpeng's voice came. He came out first, stared at Yun Yinshan, his face was cold, and said, "Today is the day when your Yun family will die. Hand over the original Taoist principles. Those who are above the level of God refining in the Yun family will abandon their cultivation. I can leave your Yun family with a chance of survival. Otherwise, no one will be left alive. High above, like a master." Yun Yinshan said coldly. "You Zhan family have been coveting the original Taoist principles for a long time, right? It's a pity that the conspiracy was discovered, and Cai Dao had to show his fangs today. Zhan Bai is known as the god of war, but now it seems that he is not as good as the two wandering gods Xuanhuan and Liu Yang. They are still magnanimous after all. Zhan Bai is just a hypocritical and cunning scum." Hearing this, Zhan Yuanpeng's face suddenly darkened. His eyes were filled with rage. "It seems that your Yun family really wants to die. Kill, destroy the Yun family." He gave the order. In an instant, the strong men in the coalition army moved. There are thousands of cultivators in the realm of refining the gods. At a glance, there are thousands of them. And there are hundreds of masters in the divine realm. Sub-god level existences are even more hidden in the dark. Fight! Yun Yinshan also waved his hand. At this point, there was no room for relaxation between the two parties. There is only one battle. In an instant, all the masters appeared in the main city of the Yun family. Yun Yinshan led his men and horses to meet the army. In the dark, Yun Qianshan and the two Yun family sub-miraculous experts also found their respective opponents at this moment. The war breaks out. In the sky, various spiritual powers are colliding and exploding, as if we have entered the end of the world. Powerful men in the realm of the gods are erupting, demigod-level figures are fighting fiercely, and all kinds of divine treasures are bombarding each other, and the sky is dimmed. But soon, the Yun family's troops were gradually overwhelmed. There are too many enemies. Even if the Yun family, a family of gods and spirits, has a profound foundation. They cannot be enemies of the entire world. Please give me the life weapon of the gods of all ages. Yunyinshan shouted. In an instant, 4 of the experts from the Yun family were holding the life weapons left by the gods and emitting god-level power. The ancestors of the Yun family had 4 wandering gods. This is also the reason why the Yun family is called the family of gods. The divine weapon is something that is cultivated by the spiritual life, and its power is far greater than ordinary divine magical weapons, dharma bodies, etc. At this moment, all the details are revealed. Without the intervention of the gods, Yun Yinshan was even confident that he could win this war. Because these things left by the gods of past generations are invincible. However, at this moment, on the opposite side, Xuanhuan sneered. A jade sculpture of a golden arhat appeared in his hand. The jade sculpture suppressed it and came down. In an instant, all 4 of the Yun family's magical weapons collapsed. Destroy. The 4 members of the Yun family who were holding divine magical weapons all shouted in agony. The wave of destruction of the divine magical weapons directly killed them, including a powerful demigod. Withdraw! Withdraw! Yun Yinshan shouted. He and Xuanhuan have fought for hundreds of rounds, and now they have discovered a crisis. The masters of the Yun family are about to fall. The masters of the Yun family were retreating, and at the same time, Yun Qianshan and another demigod-level expert on the sky were also repelled. Because, they faced the siege of 11 demigod-level powerhouses. The difference in numbers is too big. Lao Wu. Yun Qianshan looked at the rain of blood formed by the powerful Yun family demigod, and his eyes were about to split. That's his old brother. Now, it has fallen. Moreover, Yun Qianshan was also seriously injured at this moment. Is God going to destroy my Yun family? Yun Yinshan was unwilling to do so. He wanted to summon the gods, but stopped. Because he has already felt that the gods are conducting a divine war in an unknown place. This war is all round. Haha, how about it? If you have any other secrets in the Yun family, you can show them all. Xuanhuan sneered and approached, saying. The whole world is an enemy and there is no help in the world, so what if we are a family of gods? We can only perish, we can only perish. He was extremely proud. This time, the Yun family is completely finished. Everyone in the Yun family looked desperate. Could it be that the family of gods is about to fall today? However, at this moment, a voice came. Who said the Yun family is helpless? The Eastern Baron Muling dynasty is coming. Everyone turned around, only to see an army coming from another direction holding a big flag. Muling dynasty. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 471. The Wood Spirit Dynasty. The army came with a bang. Everyone was very surprised at this moment. The Wood Spirit Dynasty is coming. It's true that the Yun family colluded with Donghuang. The Yun family colluded with people from Donghuang and killed the masters from our major families who went to Donghuang. Deserves to be killed. Haha, it's just a small Wood Spirit Dynasty. Donghuang has been abandoned by Xuanhuan traveling god and Liuyang traveling god. What's the use of coming here? Everyone in the Zhan family alliance looked indifferent. In their view, the arrival of the Muling dynasty cannot affect anything. Because this time, Xuanhuan Yushan and Liuyang Yushan have both sided with Zanbei Yushan. Without their gods, what else is there to be afraid of in Donghuang? As for the Yun family, many people remain in despair. They shouldn't have come. I didn't expect that at this time, the one who came to support our Yun family would be the Eastern Wasteland dynasty. It's a pity that they no longer have the support of the gods. Many people spoke with regret. It's enough to make people feel grateful when a critical moment comes, but it can't change the situation of the war. After all, unless you are at the level of a wandering god, you can have a certain effect on the occupation. However, Yun Qianshan and Yun Yinshan's expressions changed. The Muling dynasty. They knew that there was an extraordinary being behind the Muling dynasty. If that person can take action this time, I'm afraid the battle situation can still be saved. Welcome fellow Taoists of the Muling dynasty. Yun Yinshan shouted immediately. The men and horses of the Muling dynasty quickly fell down. According to the order of the Wood Emperor, come to support, the Wood Emperor has already gone to find Miss Yungzi. Mu Zhenkong fell to the ground and opened his mouth. Hearing this, Yun Yinshan and Yun Qianshan were both a little excited. Is Yungzi coming back too? Haha, if there is a way to heaven, you won't take it, but if there is no door to hell, you will choose to surrender. Are you tired of living in the Wood Spirit dynasty? Ahead, Xuanhuan Peng approached with a sneer. Get out of here right now, or I'll kill you all too. He was extremely disdainful. The Muling dynasty was not even a sect serving the gods before, so he didn't take it seriously at all. Naokeo, I'm here today to live and die with the Yun family. Mu Rantian took a step forward and said. War. He roared. You're really looking for death. Xuanhuan Peng sneered. In his hand, the jade carving of the golden Arhat suddenly enlarged in size. Like a supreme Arhat, he has come to life from the clouds and can fight in 9 heavens and 10 earths. The Arhat raised his fist and struck towards the entire Xuanhuan city with one punch. This punch has surpassed the level of a wandering god and is enough to destroy the entire city. Watch out! Yun Yinshan shouted. Even if Yunshan Yunyang of the Yun family was here, he wouldn't be able to stop this attack. However, Mu Rantian suddenly took out a rice bag. It was made of linen and looked grey and old, as if it had been used for a long time. However, he injected spiritual power into it. In an instant, the bag expanded infinitely, covering the sky, as if even the sky was contained in it. It's just a bag, but it seems to swallow up the world and everything in the world. Suddenly, the miraculous golden figure of Arhat was instantly covered by the entire rice bag. Then, the Arhat's shadow completely disappeared. Xuanhuan Peng was shocked because at this moment, he found that the Arhat jade carving in his hand became extremely dim and full of cracks. This means that the magical imprint contained in it has completely disappeared. No. He looked forward in shock. Staring at the rice bag. What kind of magic weapon is that? Can it actually eclipse even the jade carvings at the true god level? Could it be said that the person behind the Muling dynasty is actually a true god? This is very scary. Now, somewhere in the sky, a fierce battle is unfolding. The sky was dim, the divine power was intertwined, and even the clouds thousands of miles away were blasted away. This is a divine battle. Yun Yang, you have been defeated, hand over the original principles. Zhan Baiyushan held a big halberd in his hand, his breath was overwhelming, and he spoke coldly. On both sides of him were Liu Yangyushan and Xuanyuan. At this moment, the three of them were staring coldly at a man in front of them. The man was wearing a white robe, which was now stained with blood, and his face was pale. He is clearly the wandering god of the Yun family, Yunyang. After the battle just now, he was indeed defeated. In the same realm, it is too difficult to fight 1 against 3. In fact, if Zhan Bishan and the others had not needed to track down the traces of the original Dao principle, he might have been killed. The original Tao principle is the foundation of a world. Yunyang spoke with difficulty and said, if something goes wrong with this thing, the entire Degza realm will suffer a catastrophe. If you want it, can you dare to swear a blood oath and protect it with your life? If you are willing to take on the responsibility of guardianship, what about you? Hearing this, the three of them just sneered. Guard. That's what only fools do. After obtaining the original principles, as long as they send them to the being behind them, they can obtain the divine gift and become a true god-level powerhouse. As for the people in this great ruins realm, what does life and death matter? It's just a stepping stone on their way. It seems that you are determined to die. Xuanbai spoke indifferently. He is ready to take action. Well, no. At this time, his heart suddenly jumped. Family news. The situation in Zhongzhou has changed. His face suddenly turned ugly and he said, I didn't expect that your Yun family has other methods. What's wrong? Xuanhuan asked. Nothing, catch him first, then go to Zhongzhou. Zhanbishan drinks coldly. The three of them took action immediately. Yunyang's expression changed and he wanted to evacuate, but there was no way out. Zhongzhou. Who are you? Who is, behind you? Zhan Yuanpeng stared at Murantian. He was extremely afraid of that rice bag. You are not qualified to know the existence of our servants. Drink it cold when the wood is burning. At the same time, he is continuing to inject spiritual power, refining that Arhat chi. Although he has now entered the realm of God refining, he still has difficulty using this rice bag. He simply didn't know what level of treasure this was. It's unimaginable. Everyone in the Yun family was also extremely surprised. Yun Qinshan's expression was complicated. He knew that this rice bag probably came from the owner of Yungzi. A rice bag is so powerful, he remembered what Yun 11 said, staying with his master every day was just a simple meal. Are the rice and other things that make up for the simple meals filled with such magical things? He felt that he seemed to lack imagination a little. Zhan Yuanpeng, on the other hand, shouted angrily and said, Are you really arrogant? Do you think that a bag can make you invincible and protect the Yun family? The gods are coming, and you, the Muling dynasty and the Yun family, will all die. And at this moment, above the sky, suddenly a divine light fell. Three powerful men exuding sacred energy have appeared. Zhanbishan, carrying a big halberd, has powerful energy. Green Yang Wandering God, Green Light Initiation, extremely mysterious. Xuanhuan Wandering God, hanging in the shadows, high above. And behind the three wandering gods, there was actually a cage. The wandering god of the Yun family, Yunyang, was trapped inside and was dying. Seeing this scene, everyone was in an uproar. God Yunyang. No. How could God be like this? At this moment, everyone in the Yun family was trembling. The spirit of the Yun family was captured like this. Ha ha ha, the three wandering gods are here, unable to resist. The Yun family will be destroyed. This family can disappear from today. As for the coalition forces, everyone sneered and felt that the overall situation was decided. Everyone, please give me a helping hand. Murantian shouted. He raised the rice bag to resist the gods. But with his own strength, it was almost impossible to activate it again. Yun Qianshan, Yun Yinshan, and Mu Zhenkong all took action to activate the rice bag together. God be careful, that bag is very extraordinary. Zhan Yuanpeng hurriedly reminded him. Zhan Bai Lengbing raised his hand, and the big halberd in his hand suddenly fell down. The rice bag had just appeared as a phantom, and was bombarded by the scourge at this moment. Murantian and others suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, their breaths were confused, and the rice bag suddenly returned to calm. The difference in strength is too big, even if they have the treasure in their hands, they can't resist it. It's like a child holding a powerful weapon, but an adult can easily defeat it with just a stick. Huh? This bag was not destroyed. Zhan Bai was a little surprised, and immediately sneered and said, After I kill you ants, all the treasures will belong to me. His big hand suddenly grabbed Murantian and others below. However, in the next moment, as if the space changed, Murantian and others suddenly disappeared from the place. They appeared in another area. What happened? Several people were a little stunned. and Yu Shenzhanbai noticed something, suddenly raised his eyes, and headed in a certain direction. In that space, a girl in a purple skirt came on a Pegasus. The horse is as white as snow and the purple skirt looks like she does not belong to this world. She has a paintbrush in her hand, her bright eyes are good at gazing, and her appearance is stunning.